Hello guys, how y'all doing tonight? We're gonna have another join the conversation. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Okay. Hmm.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
I was like, oh my goodness, it's internet.
Yes,
You
I was
guys are
getting nervous
sure?
because it was like it would join and it would go away, and then it would join and it would go away, and I was like, nope,
Oh,
not tonight, not
not
tonight.
tonight. This is CNA week. This is the night of a sitting down. So how are you doing,
I'm
Celeste?
good. How are you? How are you?
Good. I got on my shirt.
I got. Yes, I am CNA. Yes, yes.
So I just want to say happy CNA week to all my fellow CNAs out here around the world.
Absolutely.
So let's get it started. We got a lot
Let's
to talk
go.
about tonight.
That's right.
So thank you all for joining the show tonight, join the conversation. My name is Jillian. I am the owner of Post Surgery Care of Atlanta and the host of Join the Conversation. And I have the lovely Celeste Wooten. She will be my guest tonight. And please introduce everyone, who you are, your background.
Okay. Well, again, happy CNA week to everyone. Whoop whoop. And again, my name is Celeste Wooten. I am a hospice CNA of 23 years. This is my 23rd year. I also have a background as an MA, and I'm also a CHIPNA, which Jillian is as well, which is a certified hospice and palliative nursing assistant. And as the folks say, I'm taking on the assignment. I chose the assignment because I want to be someone who empowers other CNAs, who shows them that they are valuable, that they're worthy, that, that we're going to get into that. But that's kind of what I do. I'm just the rah-rah cheerleader for all the CNAs.
Yes, well, it's a great introduction to the discussion topic tonight is the evolution of the CNA profession. And I am a CNA and I've been a CNA for about 7 years. And it has been an incredible ride. It really has. I never thought that I would ever become a CNA. So I just want to just take a moment just to kind of get some fun facts on how CNA all started. Because so many times I had to take a moment to really dive into it. I know we kind of talked about it in our conversation on the phone. We originated as just volunteer nurse aides in 1918 at the end of World War One.
Yep.
So that's when the Spanish flu broke out. So they had their nurses, but also they needed volunteers, nurse aides, which the American Red Cross have now created the position of the nurse aide. So that's how we started. And then 1987, President Ronald Reagan actually then took the next step in saying, hey, let's now make it where they can actually get formal education and get the certification and to really be able to care for patients and to expand the healthcare system to make it better for the patient and also for the other disciplines that were already established. I would say probably at that time it probably only was doctors and nurses that I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was definitely a need of support. And so and look at us now. It's 2022 and CNAs are doing so much.
Absolutely.
And we're dominating the industry. I would say we're dominating it. We are the blood that runs through the veins of the healthcare system, in all spectrum. So what would how I want to kick it off with your perspective, because you're the guest, is what would you say is your perspective about the evolution of the CNA profession from your experience?
I remember my first experience as for CNA was I remember the candy stripers, which were the volunteers. And I just remember seeing these ladies and I was like, what do they do? You know, I was just being curious. I mean, so that was kind of like my introduction to, maybe getting my foot in the door. And then I was like, nah, that's not what I want to do. No. And so when I became a CNA at that time, umpteen years ago, CNAs were not, I mean, it's been 23 years, but even then, CNAs were not celebrated or even looked upon like we are now at all. And it was like during that time, CNAs were thought of as you work in a nursing home and that is it. You hardly, I mean, you saw the sprinkling of the home health, but you only know them as long-term care CNAs. That was all that was ever presented. Because I know when I went through CNA school, they were like, okay, so does everybody know what long-term care facility they're going to? And I'm like, I'm not going to a long-term care facility. I'm like, my hat's off to them, but that's not where I'm going. And she was like, no, that's where most CNAs go. And I'm like, I'm not going there. So, and I didn't. I didn't. I mean, I ventured out, I looked, and I investigated, and I found out where CNAs, where else they could be used. I know they could go in the hospitals, and they were called patient care techs. I knew they could go in, some doctors' offices that led to them being an MA. So I looked at the different avenues that a CNA could go into, and I wound up in home health for a little while. Mm-hmm. And the things that I was noticing even in home health, I'm like, wow, okay, they're not valued. They're just kind of like a babysitter type deal. And I'm like, no. So as I ventured over a little bit and started getting towards hospice, I really started looking because I kept saying, yes, I'm a CNA. Yes, I know the basic background of what a CNA should be able to do. But I know there's more. There's got to be more. And so that's my evolution from getting that certificate, being investigative to see what else I could do and not be branded and boxed by the person that gave me my certification to what she thought a CNA could only do. So, I see that so often, people that get a CNA, they're like, oh, well, I guess I'll go find me a long-term care facility. And there's nothing wrong with that. So please don't mistake that that's what I'm saying. But they get that certificate and they box themselves in as that's the only thing that they can do. And it's not. It's not.
No, it's really not. And I would say, I think society and I think how we came in during the 1918, it was so much going on like we're going on right now with the pandemic. When March 2020 came and Corona hit us, it was like everyone just kind of stopped and nurses and CNAs and other disciplines, we were just all hands on deck. But it was still where it still was the same question is, this is all they can do. The basic of the baseline of care. This is what they can do. And don't expand their horizon because it's going to be too much for them. Or if there was a fear of they actually can do the job, and now we're getting to the fear of my job, because there's certain jobs that, hey, we could hand off to the nurses, but because of fear of somehow they're going to take my job, then it's like, well, we have to arrest their ability to expand their capacity as a CNA to be more useful and more valuable to the team. And so I think that's definitely been one of the challenges for a lifetime with our fellow CNAs is wanting to expand, wanting to see, well, what else can I do in the hospital? What else can I do in the long-term care? What else can I do in hospice? What else can I do in home health? What else can I do outside of where, hey, we're going into the oncology? So many mothers and mother baby department. There's so many avenues that we can go about doing this surgery that is been told that you can't do that. Don't go there because you can't do that because you're not a nurse or you're not a physician assistant or you're not a doctor. And I know I took upon me and said, I'm going to push against that. Not in the way of that was the motive. I think for me it was just, I wanted to do something different with my license. I wanted to do that and wanted to just see, what can I do with this? I love what I do. I want to expand. It has to be more. It just has to be the same way like you were, Celeste. There has to be more.
There has to be more. That's right.
You can't just hand me this box and say, this is what you're confined to. And it's like, no, there's more to that. So how would you define evolution in the CNA profession? How would you define that?
My definition of evolution would be you taking that CNA title and you evolving and finding your realm. What is it that you want to do? I can say, like the board that I sit on with the National Association of Healthcare Assistants, NACA. On our board, everybody's different. Everybody, all the CNAs are different. We have a CNA that works in a hospital. We have a CNA that works in a long-term care. We have a CNA that works in memory care. I'm a hospice CNA. We have a CNA that worked in the veterans home. She also did private duty. She also did home health. So we all work in different realms. So when we come together and talk, we bring it from different perspectives. So, that's one good thing that you can look at and say, hey, they're all doing different things. So that's an evolution within itself, because we're not confining ourselves to that one particular box that people try to stuff everybody in that becomes a CNA. And so, I just define evolution as, okay, I've got my key, I've got my tool. Now let me start chiseling away at what I want to do with it, what I want to do with it. And let me start busting down the box as I chisel away. Oh, I like this. Let me dabble in this and see if it fits me. If it doesn't, I got the chisel. I can keep going. I'm chiseling away at that box until I find what my end result of my evolution would be. And then I keep evolving in that. So.
Because we never finish evolving as long as we're living. That is always something new, something that we haven't tried before. And to me, what I think of evolution is that I'm limitless, that I will not allow myself to confine myself to one realm because of societal perception of what they feel what a CNA is. And I think it takes a lot of confidence to really take on the mindset of saying that I'm not going to just say that these 4 areas, this is all what I can do. I'm going to take those keys. I've gone through the CNA. I've learned what I need to learn. I definitely believe in let's exercise those basic care skills that we learn in school.
Right.
But once we have mastered that and you really have perfected it, a year or 2, okay, let's say 3 years. After that point, it is time to say, okay, where's my curiosity leading to me next? And not allowing my fear to tell me, well, I can't go over into cardiovascular. because there's no CNAs over there.
Right.
You know, not telling myself, not giving myself parameters, but experience and through research, I'm going to find an avenue. I'm going to find a little peek hole to say, well, hey, I can find a place right here.
Right.
I can create the space.
Right.
So it's not so much about allowing the employer or the health system to create the space, is having the creativity to say, well, this is going to take me a while for me to create that. But I know that I'm on to something because I have a curiosity and I have a great interest in learning more about this. And the more that I'm learning, the more I'm getting excited, and the more that I'm digging, now I'm finding places where I can create and be an assistance to all other healthcare disciplines without being offensive, without stepping on someone else's toes, but actually come as a collaborative partner.
Right.
You know, in that. And so so what do you think about this from your experience with CNAs who are in environments where they know that it's more, but their environment has a lid, have them in a box? What steps do you think that they should do to gain the courage to say that I'm going to seek my own path with my CNA license?
My suggestion would be, wherever you work, to try to find somebody that you trust, that you can share your desires with, because the saying is, you have not because you ask not. So you find that one person that you feel confident with, and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm feeling for me. Can you see that in me? And develop that peer relationship with that person. And even if it's a manager, or supervisor, somebody like that, and say, I'm looking at this. Can you guide me? Can you, give me some kind of direction? Now, I will say, you can't do this and not do the work. You can have that one-on-one. You can have that peer. You can have that supervisory motivation, and you should do this. But when you start thinking that way, you need to pull them bootstraps up and get ready to start traveling. Because if that's what you want, then you're going to have to pull the toe and make it happen. Because if you sit around and you wait on other people, you don't want that. Because you're going to take that idea to somebody, and then they're going to be like, you know what? She's not doing nothing with it, or he's not doing nothing with it. So maybe I should go talk to somebody else that I think might can do that. Don't set yourself up for that. Just find somebody that you can speak to. But again, get ready to pull them bootstraps up and start hitting it and doing what you need to do to seek those other avenues. And because of a lot of evolution is own research, is own growth. That's what a lot of the evolution is own research and own growth. And what you do with that, that's how you start your evolution in yourself.
Yes. And I totally agree with you, because it starts with self. It starts with making the decision, but then making also the next decision is looking from within and saying, and having the self-awareness. Am I up for the challenge? Am I up for late nights, being alone many times?
Yeah.
Are you up for that? And I think that's where a lot of our fellow CNAs kind of fall into that pit of, well, if I do this, then my friends may not at my job, I'm not gonna have time to hang out with them. Or if I'm reading these books and I start kind of thinking differently, they're gonna look at me like, what are you talking about? That's, they're gonna start feeling distance from you. how are you going to feel about that? And are you okay with, for a while, being the Lone Ranger while you're on your evolution of being the best you that you can be in that?
That's right. And sometimes that happens. I mean, like you said, you got to be prepared for the what I call the drop off. And because you're trying to evolve and stuff just you're like, oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. You got to be ready for that, because it's gonna be some folks that be like, oh, for real, so it's like that, so you don't have time for me, or you think you're better than me because you want to do this, that, and the other. It's not that I think I'm better than you. I'm evolving to be a better me.
Yes.
So, if that's how you take it, that I'm trying to be better than you, I apologize, but it's not. I'm trying to evolve to be a better me. That's all it
Yes.
is.
And many times is that's the crossword road in being okay with being unpopular, being okay with people making comments saying, oh, well, you're trying to be a nurse, you're trying to be that, why don't you go to nursing school? This different comment, and you're saying you have no idea, because this is my journey. And I don't have to be anything but who I am authentically planning to be, and what's in me. The essence of me has to come forth. And in that, it takes me to step away to evolve into a better me, like you said, Celeste. And many times it will be a lot of scrutiny. That is going to happen. It's going to be where, why are you doing all of this? It doesn't take all of that.
Right.
For your definition, it doesn't. But for me, this is just scratching the surface.
Right.
This is the part of me actually changing my mindset to be able to position myself to be in an environment where the ground is growth. The ground is about expansion. The ground is about taking the leap and having people around you that really are thinking how you're now thinking.
Right. And again, part of the evolution is breaking that stigma, because again, we get them three little initials like this, and you are automatically stigmatized. That all you do is give baths. I'm like, no, I do a little bit more than that. No. And I know when I would go into long-term cares, I'm like, I just saw the faces of so many young ladies and men that just looked like they were just beat down. And I'm like, what? I just talked to some of them. I got cool with them, and I'm like, what's wrong? And they would just be like, nobody cares about us. They don't, all they know is we're supposed to feed these people and bathe them and get them up and put them down and do this and do that. And I said, well, how do you see yourself? And and I threw this young lady off when I said that, and she was like, what do you mean, how do I see myself? I said, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself the same way that everybody else says they see you? Or do you see yourself as a professional? Do you see yourself different? And she said, there ain't nothing special about being a CNA. I said, maybe not in your eyes, but I said, you got to start looking at yourself as you're the one in here with all these residents when their family is not. You were the one in here helping your residents when nobody else can. You're probably the closest thing that most of these residents have as a friend or as they think of a family member. So how you carry yourself is how you think of yourself. So if you think of yourself as less than because of what's behind your name, and you carry yourself like that, then you're giving other people ammunition to treat you that way. If you walk
Hello.
around like, ain't nothing, I'm just a CNA. I don't do nothing. I'm guilty of it. I've said it when I'm having a bad day and I'm just a CNA. Don't ask me nothing else. And I don't mean it that way, but I get it why some people say that. But I'm just like, you know what? I am just a CNA, but I am
Right.
the CNA. I
Hello.
am a CNA.
Capital
And
CNA.
that's right,
Not,
and I'm
not
like,
lowercase.
and I said, so I told her, I said, stop giving people the ammunition to see you that way. If
Mm-hmm.
you're walking around unprofessional down in the dumps because of the type of work you're doing, then
Right now.
maybe this isn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start seeing yourself as a professional